42-year-old quarterback to take you places that you don't see many 40-year-old quarterbacks go outside of Tom Brady. So they got to be able to establish a line of scrimmage in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think the challenging thing is I view them as the third best team in their own division, right? I know Bengals have major issues on defense, but that should be a top 5 offense. So when you look at it from that point of view, you're competing with maybe the Broncos and the Chargers for a wild card spot. This is a team that obviously was in the postseason last year with up and down quarterback play, and that gives you some hope. But Aaron Rodgers isn't just a 40-plus old quarterback. He's a 40-plus old quarterback coming off of one of the worst seasons of his career, and that gives me a little bit of skepticism about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's worth noting the numbers in the last few seasons. And let's get to some top stories here, as a couple major names still not at camp. We got Lindsay here for the latest. Get us started with Terry McLaurin out in Washington.
Laura, you mentioned Terry McLaurin still not at camp as he seeks a new deal, but Adam Peters says they've had some good conversations. Dan Quinn, on the other hand, saying that this is not something he's going to get too worked up about. This is the business side of football. Of course, they would like to see Terry McLaurin back in camp sooner rather than later.
And then, how about Trey Hendrickson?
Trey Hendrickson still in Jacksonville, hanging out on the beach trading for football, even though he's not at training camp. Obviously, he's holding out. He wants a new extension in Cincinnati. They got deals done for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. No update, or I should say no progress on a contract for Trey Hendrickson, so time ticks on in Cincinnati.
We're going to keep an eye on that for sure. Hendrickson led the league with 17.5 sacks last season. No other Bengal had more than 5. There's no doubt he is one of the best in the league. And Joe Burrow and the Bengals have started slow out of the gate. Burrow has won just 38% of his games in weeks 1 through 5, compared to winning almost 2/3 of his starts from week 6 on. His total QBR, touchdown to interception ratio, and yards per attempt are all significantly higher after he gets past week 5. The Bengals face the Browns and Jaguars in the first 2 weeks, and then have to face Minnesota, Denver, and Detroit the following 3 weeks. It's significantly important to get those first couple wins. New on NFL Live, All-Pro wideout Jamar Chase has high expectations for the season, including a fast start.
Win the division first. So we do it all every year. Win the first game. That's how we're going to make a mark.
All right, Lindsay, what more can you tell us about Zach Taylor's preseason plan that may help him start a little bit faster?
So they want to get going a lot faster, right? So Joe Burrow is actually planning to play more in the preseason than he ever has before. Exactly how much that is, Zach Taylor hasn't said, but it's more than it's been in the past. And this is really interesting, Laura, because there's 2 kind of schools of thought. Now, you either play your starters in the preseason or you don't, right? Do you wrap your quarterback in bubble wrap or keep them out there in the fire? And I know Zach Taylor coming up under Sean McVay, he saw both sides work. In 2017, Sean McVay played all of his starters, and that offense was absolutely humming. In 2018, he didn't play his starters, and they went to the Super Bowl. So there's no exact science to this, and it seems like Zach Taylor is really trying to figure out what works best to get them going fast.
Yeah, Lindsay makes a really good point bringing up the Rams example, because there's really no one-size-fits-all answer to this. We always have this discussion in the preseason. Should you play your starters? Does it work? And my answer is always, it depends on the preference of the player. I know when I watch Patrick Mahomes in the preseason, and he does play in the preseason, I'm always like covering half of my face because I can barely stand to see him. It makes me so nervous, but clearly that has worked for him. Tom Brady sometimes played in the preseason. In my opinion, it really comes down to the personal preference of Joe Burrow. If he feels like he needs it to get a faster start, if he wants to build that chemistry early on, I don't know if it's chemistry at this point, they played together a long time, then more power to him. And, obviously that comes with a little bit of risk, but it's football. There's going to be risk, and I feel like ultimately it's up to the player.
Whatever they've been doing, it ain't working. so listen, obviously we've talked about, Patrick Mahomes playing in preseason. The other guys have been bubble wrapped. And so I think, it seems like Joe Burrow is kind of taking this thing, taking the bull by the horns here and saying, you know what? I need to change my approach to how I get prepared for the season.
Yes.
And if that means playing more in the preseason, so be it. If Joe Burrow's going to want to be out there, guess who else is going to be out there? All the other starters are going to be out there as well.
Yeah, let's look back at that schedule, the way they begin the season, because we mentioned the Browns and Jags, but then they see Minnesota. Let me go back to this. Detroit. Oh, there it is. They've got Denver. They're going to be a great team. The Vikings before that, Lions, Packers. I mean, D-Wood, when you see all that, How important is it to get off to a good start?
Laura, you better come out the gate 2-0.
Yeah.
You better come out the gate 2-0 because that right there, I mean, listen, the Cincinnati Bengals can score with anyone, but when you look at Denver, Lions, Vikings, Packers, like that's the creme de la creme right there. So you need to come out of the gates, come out of the blocks fast.
Yeah, all the three of those defenses were in my top 10 defenses ranking this offseason. Denver, I had as the #1 defense in the NFL. We know what Minnesota has been. So that is quite the gauntlet. And I think for Cincinnati, you're looking at like the other side of the ball every week, especially with all the questions with Trey Hendrickson in the pass rush and wondering, do I have to put up 40 points, in these games? Well, some of them, yeah, and that is daunting on its own.
Yeah, the Bengals had the third best offense in the NFL from week 9 on last season, but we all know that was George Pickens doing George Pickens things. One-handed catch from Dak Prescott. I mean, that's just silly. That thing just sticks in his hand. Are you serious? Uh-oh. Cowboys hype train getting going. Dak Prescott, by the way, is going to speak in just a little bit. As soon as we hear from him, we will bring that to you right here on NFL Live, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's read and react, although I didn't want to cut away from that video. That was pretty impressive.
That was pretty sweet.
Woo! Let's talk from some sound of camp around this week. It feels like every August there's buzz about a breakout season for Kyle Pitts. We were just talking about it in the break, we would. Second-year quarterback Michael Penix Jr. already has his sights set on his star tight end.
I can't beat the ball today. There's going to be a lot of that.
D-Wood, is this finally the year that we see Pitts reach his very high potential? I want to know. Fantasy owners want to know. Go ahead.
I mean, if not now, then when? He's literally in the last year of his rookie contract. And the one thing about Kyle Pitts, he's been underutilized ever since that rookie year where you thought, oh, man, this guy's going to be the next generation tight end. He just hasn't had the type of numbers, and I know he's been dealing with injuries. But when you got a strong-armed, accurate quarterback like Michael Penix Jr., you got to find creative ways to get him, create mismatches with this guy because he's a great athlete. So the coaching staff down there has to find ways to take advantage of that advantage.
And you just hope he stays healthy. I mean, that's been one of the big reasons. By the way, Pitts averaging just 20 receiving yards per game from week 9 on last season. Michael Penix Jr. going to look a whole lot better if Pitts steps up as well. All right, let's go to Carolina next, where head coach Dave Canales thinks Bryce Young will have a very talented group of wideouts to throw to this fall.
I think that the sky's the limit for this group. I think that this is going to be a very competitive team. I don't think people are going to want to play us by the style of football that we play. I'm expecting that. My expectations are really high for this group. They are every year, and we're going to shoot for it as good as we can get. My language to the group is I want to make sure we maximize the talent in this room. That'll take us as far as we need to go, but that's going to be our focus.
Mina, what do you think about the Panthers wide receiver room?
First, I think that was really a lot of coach speak. I think that they're interesting. I think there's a lot of upside. Y'all know I really like the Ted McMillan pick. I like what he brings to the Bryce Young on third down, contested catchability, outside the numbers. Jalen Coker showed promise last year. Adam Thielen remains productive. Xavier Legette gives you downfield threat. I think if I have a question, it's really about who can win quickly and get you yards after the catch. And along those lines, kind of intrigued by Hunter Renfrow back in the NFL. Just going to throw that out there. He was out for a couple seasons with an illness because hypothetically he brings the skill set that I actually think they're missing. But of course, we're going to have to see him on the field before we arrive at a judgment on him. Yeah, I love it. I mean, he's familiar with the area, Clemson guy. It's good stuff. By the way, seeing Tetero and McMillan out there, it just reminds you his size, how much of a matchup problem he's going to be for defenses. Yeah. I love it. All right, let's go to Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy will be the third quarterback in 3 seasons for the Vikings. Our Lindsay caught up with Justin Jefferson, asked him about another offseason of change.
And it is caught! Touchdown! Touchdown from Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson.
How do you hit that reset button when you and Sam Darnold had a lot of success together, and then there's a change made, and now there is JJ who has a lot of accolades coming in, but he's a new quarterback for you.
Yeah, it's a tough reset button, but you got to push it. It's something that I had to do with Kurt, transitioning to Sam. The same thing from Sam to JJ. You got to embrace it. because it is going to be a challenge, you know, being with a new person. They're learning your moves, you're learning theirs.
To the end zone. Touchdown!
What can you do to help JJ's job be easier as he makes that transition?
Catch the ball. Whenever it comes, catch it. That's the confidence booster for him. He's still new to the system. You know, this is his first real year playing with us. So it's just all about, you know, just staying in his ear, making sure that he still has that confidence to go out there and sling the rock like he can.
It's like that 4th and 18. Just throw it up, you'll go get it.
And I'm gonna go get it.
He caught it! What a grab!
I love it. Great convo. Lindsay, what more can you tell us about your time with Jefferson?
Yeah, Justin was incredibly honest, and that probably sounds a little silly to say, but a lot of the time players will say, oh, it's just next man up when it's a new quarterback. But he was really reflective of what their last season was like, right? The Vikings last year were picked to finish last in the division, and then with Sam Darnold at quarterback, were able to achieve what they did in going to the postseason. So that reset button is even harder than it was when he had to hit it with Kirk Cousins. And he really emphasized with his new quarterback, with J.J. McCarthy, it's going to be so important for his teammates to help build confidence. And Justin told me, obviously heard, catch the football. That is going to help J.J. build the most confidence, because not only is he battling, he's not a rookie, but he's a first-time starter. Right. He's also coming off an injury. So he has two things that could be in the back of his head that could make it challenging, but the confidence that his teammates can provide is really going to be key.
I love it. Mina, you heard him talking about hitting the reset button again, playing with another new quarterback. Are you concerned about that at all?
Not for Justin Jefferson. I mean, Lindsay could be thrown to him. He'd probably put up 70 yards a game. He's like as close as quarterback proof as it gets in this league. But as far as maximizing his ability with JJ and not falling back